Hi, everybody. It's Melissa Nicholson at WorkMuse, and I am so glad you're joining us for Jobshare Java. Hi, everybody. Let's turn that down. I'm so glad you're joining me for Jobshare Java. I wanted to create a special event this week. A lot of us are facing a return to work or a return to back to school time. And a lot of us are in different places with the back to school. As parents, we might have had our kids go back to school last year part-time. We may have had them remote learning all year. We may have been homeschooling them. But I just really wanted to talk about it because the landscape has changed so much, it feels like, in the last month. So much. And as a work-life expert and also a flexible work expert, I just wanted to make sure that we were checking in with everyone and providing support and some real actionable steps that you can take in your life to make sure that you're able to navigate these kind of difficult times, to know where we are and what we need to be doing. So just to introduce myself, my name is Melissa Nicholson. I'm the CEO and founder of WorkMuse. We're the first U.S. job share company, and job sharing is a flexible work practice where two people share the responsibilities of one full-time position. Our company is based on training, implementation, and support. We will have the first ever online education and training around job sharing available this year for Jobshare Academy. I'll share at the end how you can get on the wait list for that. But essentially, WorkMuse helps companies implement job share programs, and we help empower employees, individuals, to create their own rewarding job shares. I worked in a job share for 9 years, starting when my daughter was 6 months old. It was the best of both worlds. There's never been a better time for job sharing than where we are right now. But today we're not really talking about job sharing. Today, what we're talking about is what we are all experiencing together. Hey, Ronique, it's great to see you. And where we are, whether we have kids that are returning to school or we are returning to the workplace, and it's a hybrid workplace. So that is kind of what I wanted to discuss, is like, how do we wrap our heads around what we thought the pandemic was, where we thought we were, wherever we are in the country. I'm in Austin, Texas, which is at stage 5. Completely unexpected for me and my family because a high percentage of the population has been vaccinated. So we really didn't see this coming as far as how where the hospital system is, how overrun our hospitals are. And here it is, August, and we're sending pretty much most of the children back to school in person, when half of the kids have not been vaccinated. So kids, 12 and under are unable to get vaccinated at this time. It's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 months before that's even a reality. And it's just a really hard time to navigate for everyone. So that's what I want to talk about, is what we're facing right now. And how do we really wrap our heads around what we need to do and how we can navigate it when it's shifting so fast, when things are shifting and we loosen up and we're able to do more and we're able to unmask and we're able to be around our, our fellow coworkers and our friends and our family. But then when things tighten up a little bit because the situation has just radically shifted, and we have to have that agile thinking to radically shift with it. So that is kind of what I want to talk about. And I want you to think about a question as we go through this kind of it's really a chat in the sesh today. I want you to think about what's the most important thing to you as you navigate your back to school, your school year, getting back to the school year with your kids. What's the most important thing to you personally and for your family. And if you're returning to in-person work, what is, and you're not a parent, you don't have children, or if you're doing both, what is the most important thing to you as you navigate a return to the office, whether that's hybrid and part of the time you're returning to the office and part of the time you're going to keep and retain and use all that amazing technology and all of the things you've learned in the last year and a half from remote working. What is going to be the number one most important thing to you as you navigate those things? Just think about that, and if you want to share it in the comments, that'd be great. So this training specifically we're at Jobshare Java Live. They're on Tuesdays at noon Central, which is 10 a.m. Eastern Pacific time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. But this training is real talk and 4 steps to weather the uncertainty, weather this changing landscape of where we are now and where it might go and how it might go back. And how are we going to do those things? How are we going to do those things and maintain our sense of work-life balance throughout it and basically keep our wellness in check and our health in check and our families in check and our paychecks in check too, right? So the training is going to empower you to remove the I don't know what to do in this situation from your vocabulary as you intentionally navigate your life during these uncertain times. So, and I also mentioned that we have a bonus for those who are joining us today, and it's a special take-home bonus. We prepped it right before this training, and what it is we have completely revamped our Work From Home with Kids guide, which is essentially a working parent survival guide for COVID that I created right at the beginning of the pandemic in March, but it's been completely revamped and updated for where we are now. And so you will have the ability to get it first. I'd like you, wherever you're watching this, to drop me a comment and let me know you'd like it. And also DM me, because I will send you the direct link to the direct PDF so that you don't have to go through a sign-up form. So I'm looking forward to that because it's really packed full of really actionable, good advice. And in all kinds of different areas, whether it's remote working and how to do that well, boundary setting at work and at school and with your family, how to implement a job share mentality in your personal life with your parenting partner or with your family, how to implement a job share mindset into many things that you do so that you can really lean into others and their strengths to do the things that you need to just have a successful life and career right now. So I want to remind you of a couple of things. And I'm going to be looking down because I've got some notes down here, but I just want a reminder of where we are. It's very different from where we were a year and a half ago. We were in collective trauma, like major collective trauma. And everybody was in that trauma together, and we were really in shock and awe. It took months and months and months to figure out how to do, overnight remote work and overnight homeschooling and remote learning and all of those kind of things. And we had to give ourselves a lot of grace during that period. This period is a bit different. It's not better. It's not worse. We've learned a lot in the past year and a half. We've gained a lot in the way of skill set, things that we had not really, with our lives so busy, had not really had the opportunity before to slow down. I think it was a very unique period of time where we were grounded. We were literally grounded in our homes, unable to leave. So it made us pay attention to our neighbors, the people around us. How could we help others? How could we, what were the things that mattered the most to us? Where did we want to work and where did we want to live and how do we want to do those things? We got a lot more intentional. People made big moves, big shifts, sometimes big shifts happen to them without them wanting to. People were downsized. People moved in and out of one job, another job, another job. Women found themselves flattened in a lot of ways by their caregiving responsibilities, whether it was to kids or aging parents. And a lot of men stepped in and stepped up. A lot of men who were interested in being equal co-parents and co-partners before stepped in and stepped up in a bigger fashion. And some couples found themselves really facing kind of like systemic challenges where women were losing their jobs at a higher rate and a faster pace and really being pushed out of their jobs. And how did that make couples feel who really take a co-parenting, co-partnership outlook to their relationship and to the way that they want to navigate how they live their lives? It's a very interesting thing to think about. But I want to remind you that a couple of things. Number one, you can do this with the help of others. You learned that this last year and a half. Lean into your community and you know who your people are. If anything, it's more evident than it's ever been. And the one thing that I personally learned, and I'm sure that many of you learned over the last year or two, was how to ask for help and how to accept help without having any weird feelings about it. How to ask for help when you really need it, and to be able to accept the help for someone who cares about you, whose bandwidth is higher and can give you that help. And I think that's a huge lesson in life. I have really seen a lot of friends, family, and people that I know and people I work with that have gone through this kind of thing where we kind of have a thing in our culture in the U.S. that says you take care of yourself, you fix your family, you do these things, you keep things here. But the truth is, we really do need one another. And this last year, that is something that we learned, that you can do this with the help of others. Also, I want you to remember that you've developed mad skills during 2020 and 2021. You've developed amazing skills of resiliency, of creativity, of flexibility, of being agile, of standing up for yourself and being clear and transparent with what you need and what you want. And I know that not every workplace is the same, and I know that some workplaces have been more difficult to work with through the big changes that were forced upon us by the pandemic, the big changes with technology and remote working, and having to really navigate the waters of people bringing their whole selves to work, not being able to hide one version of yourself at home and one version of yourself at work any longer, but just the landscape changing. And I think that's the same for school districts and school systems in different states as well. It depends really on what state you're in and what they're doing as far as the pandemic and masking and all of that good stuff. But it also just depends on what your district is doing and what the community that your kids are, what's your community, your school community is doing. And those things can be difficult and hard and frustrating. They can also be uplifting, and there's a way to really be a helper there as well. So remember that you developed mad skills in 2020. Remember that you can do this with the help of others. And the communication, the connection, and creativity were the silver linings that brought us together in 2020. And now is the time to harness these silver linings of connection, communication, and creativity, the 3 C's, to empower ourselves in the changing landscape, whatever it may be. So without further ado, I want to jump into 4 steps that can help you weather uncertainty. And I know we've already learned so much, and I know that you may have done a lot of these things or thought through a lot of these things this last year. But this is what I want to remind you of, because right now, when you are navigating a changing scene and it's moving this way, coming down a little bit, up, down. And your school situation is you might have a kid that comes home and quarantines for 2 weeks. You may have the whole school shut down. It could happen right again. We've just begun back with in-person with my kiddos, and thank goodness that Austin ISD is masking, regardless of our governor. But I'm very grateful and very thankful. I know there are districts around Austin that are not. And I think about those parents a lot and how difficult this decision has been for them this school year. I know there are so many friends and folks I know who have kids under 12 whose kids are not vaccinating. That's super scary. And it's not just that they're scared that COVID is going to come home to their family and their kid's going to get COVID. It's that they're really thinking of other people, those people who can't vaccinate, those people who are immunocompromised, those people who have older people in their family that for whatever reason, even if they have been vaccinated and they get COVID, they might get sick. Like they might not be hospitalized, they might not end up passing away, but they might get very sick. So I just think it's a great reminder of these steps that can help you navigate whatever life brings your way. And truly they're internal, as all good things are. And the things that we do internally really make a big effect on the people that we work with and on the people that we're raising, for those of us raising humans. And so the first one I want to talk about, and a lot of this is revamped in the guide, so I'm very excited to get it into your hands. So the first one is to put your oxygen mask on first. Put your oxygen mask on first. Under that umbrella, that means getting 8 hours of sleep. It's the most important thing that you can do, and the way that you can do it well is by making sure that you have ritual around your sleep. So you have a thing that you're telling your brain it's time to wind down. So it's really important to rise from sleep and fall into sleep at the same time roughly each night, whether it's the weekend or the weekday. So get up, get down at the same time. Have a very specific wind down for yourself, whether that is getting rid of the screens from your bedroom, reading a book before you go to bed, taking a shower, having that warm thing, quieting your mind. Don't get your mind going and reeling right before bed. And hydrating. Hydrating is one of the most important things that you can do for your brain. And it's one of the most important things that you can do for your body. When you drink a huge glass of water at night and a huge glass of water first thing when you wake up in the morning, you give your brain a flex of get up and go. I also sometimes will have like a small salad for breakfast. Sounds crazy, but it really, when I've got to bring it and I really need my full brain, I can tell an immediate difference. So sleep and hydrate. Mindset. This is all under putting your oxygen mask on first. Mindset. This is a very simple exercise and it works. It emits a chemical in your brain that tells your brain that it's out of danger. So when you're stressed, as so many of us have been over the last year and a half, you're very stressed. You're stressed by the changing situation. You're feeling super burnt out at work. You're stressed by obligations that you have at work. You're stressed by how are you going to get your kids to school on time? They may not even be able to ride the bus. They may not be able to carpool. It just depends on what's going on with the situation in the town, the city, and the health situation where you are. In my situation, we've got kids in completely different parts of town without buses available to us. So, and we really haven't started a carpool or anything of that sort. We carpool with masks on in the car and everything, and also the times are much later, as I've got a high school freshman and a 7th grader, and it was a lot easier when they were just sitting in their rooms. They'd just get up and, throw on their robe, throw off the robe, throw on some shorts. From a lot of begging from us, like, let's put on clothes, let's get dressed for the day, different set of stressors, right? But it really was a lot easier to just fit everything in because we weren't on the go, 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 go. And that's what's interesting about this time too. We're about to get headed into extracurricular activities and a lot of the things that we did before, and we need to decide on those, like what do we keep, what do we give, and how do we do that differently, and should we be doing all of that, or maybe it's like a welcome change and we need it. So mindset. So sleep, hydrate, and your mindset. So this is the breathing exercises is that you breathe in for 2 through your nose and you breathe out for 6 through your mouth. And you do it 2 to 3 times. I'm going to do it once with you. I already feel calmer. So that is a really fundamental. We have actually, my husband and I have been caring for my mom who was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And that's one that we've been doing. Exercise, therapy. It's never been easier. It may not be easy to find a great therapist. A lot of therapy is in need right now. But it's never been easier to be able to access it. If you can't get there, remote therapy is amazing, and it's a great use of our technology to be able to do that when you can't be in person, or just even for scheduling. Thinking about how you're throwing yourself back into a high scheduled life, or maybe hopefully a medium scheduled life, or not so busy as it was before. But you're going to do some things differently this time, right? And that's one of those things, kind of like speech therapy for kids, that you can do remotely. There are things that you can do remotely, and you can kind of shift, like maybe go in person some, maybe you do remote some. But if you can get therapy, I say get it. We're in for this for the long haul. There's no quick, easy fix. We realized that 6 months into this pandemic. And we really need to treat this like a long-term coping mechanisms require big oxygen mask moves. And that's one. There's no shame in getting therapy, asking for help, and receiving help. And it can make a huge difference in your life and in the lives of your children if needed, and anybody around you that is in need of therapy. Gratitude. The practice of gratitude, whether you do a gratitude journal or whether you just thank people. Meditation and yoga. So it's not that you have to do all of these things. It's that what I'm essentially telling you is you need something to quiet your mind, get your head in the right space, and make sure that you're getting the physical things that your body needs to operate from a place that will help you navigate your day and make good decisions. So if you are getting enough sleep, enough hydration, you've got your mindset right, because physically and mentally you're breathing, you have yoga or meditation or exercise that helps you just release that stress, and you're reaching out for therapy or help or a friend if you need to. And a morning ritual, something that you do every single day. This can be whether you're working remotely still, you're doing a hybrid, you're going into work, some kind of morning ritual. And you will just augment and change that based on what you're doing. If you and your partner are both going into the office now, maybe it's just having that morning cup of coffee together, having a check-in with one another. If it just depends on what it is, but having a morning ritual. So that's a lot for number one, putting your oxygen mask on first. The second one I want to talk about, the second step, is to be flexible and give yourself and your kids and your coworkers an abundance of grace. Be flexible, give yourself, your coworkers, your kids an abundance of grace right now. And permission to skip it. And what that means is, as a family, as a team at work, but specifically as a family, as life is ramping up, as things are ramping up, as we know people are living in this world, they are ramping up. We have a really hard time going back to where we went whenever we were doing something difficult. It was really difficult to be completely isolated from our friends and families, and we've revised the way we have thought about things as we've understood more. But sometimes as we understand more in this pandemic, we learn that we don't know what we thought we knew. So it's really important to think about the activities, the things that bring you joy and happiness, and the things that really enliven you and your kids and your partner. And realizing what are the things that as life ramps up that you can reassess and that you're going to keep. And to let go of all the BS that you don't need to. The traditions that were never yours, that you did because you felt you had to do them. The thank you notes. It's great to write a thank you note if you want to. All of those kind of things. Sit down as a family and really, what are the things that bring you the most joy? Kind of Marie Kondo this. But what are the things that bring you the most joy? What do you love? What can you let go of? You also might take this track at work. What are the things that you most enjoy doing? And how can you minimize the time on the things that you don't? Or delegate. So it's both areas. Really, this training is specifically aimed at being a support to all of those parents. My heart goes out to you. I am with you. I am one of you. My heart goes out to you right now. Because it's not easy. I mean, we're looking at homeschool, remote school, in-person school, coming back from home, all of it. And it would be a lot better if we had a really good, sound social safety net in our country, and we just don't. So we really have to firm up here. The third thing that's going to help you navigate any kind of uncertainty or rocky, you're out on the boat and it gets rocky and then it calms down a little. How do you navigate the rocky part? Is that you need to talk. You need to be transparent and open and talk about the changes with your kids and coworkers. Have your plan B. So if you're in a situation where, you're with your kids are going to school, they're in person, talk about what your plan B looks like, because there's probably going to be a point where your kiddo may catch COVID, may not, but may need to quarantine, or the entire school may shut down for a period of time. And it depends on where you are and what your district is doing and what the schools are doing, but you may not have a remote school option at that point either. And it might be that your office has a similar thing. There might be an outbreak. There might be something going on where everybody goes kind of back. And you're going back to that cave you just came out of, where you've got a house full of people once again working and learning from home, and you really were ready to be over with that period of life. Maybe you enjoyed a lot of things about it, but you didn't have to do it without having a choice. So talk about the changes and have a plan B. What's going to happen if your kiddo comes back home? We have updated our work from home with kids guide. Obviously, it's pretty much like work from home with kids when there's not a great plan, because that's what a lot of people are facing now. And I do know a lot of folks, a lot of women especially, and women of color, have been forced out of their jobs, not their fault, by our lack of a social safety net, by the kinds of jobs that they have in the first place. and the inability to be in person if they're caregivers to other people, but having jobs that are not able to be done remotely. So there's just, you need to talk about the changes with the people that are being affected and have a plan B. Have a plan B. Like, here's what we think life looks like right now, and here's how, mom or dad is working, and here's how I am working, and here are the shifts and changes that we've made, and here's what's going on with grandparents, and here's what's going on with brother, sister, kiddo. But this is what could happen, and this is how we will navigate that. Here's our plan B. The fourth thing you need to do is have clear boundaries and clear communication around your changing work and life situation with your employer, your school, and your children, especially with your employer. I think employers have had to get really crafty on figuring out what that back to work situation is going to look like, and how are we going to change, like really work with what our workers want right now. Because the truth is that people want to do it differently. And I thought this was really interesting, and I'm just going to there was a study that came out from Clio, and Christine Michelle Carter, who's a thought leader in the millennial and working mom space, wrote an article kind of summarizing it on Forbes, and I thought it was really interesting. And I just want to go over super quickly. This training has nothing to do with this really, but it does. So I just wanted to go over, I just thought it was interesting. There were some great things that were in this piece. And it's not just, it's based on a study. So the outlook for working parents is worse than it was in 2020. So half of families have had one or both parents leave the workforce, reduce hours, or take a leave of absence. 56% of parents that need childcare still don't have access to full-time, reliable childcare. Their mental health is suffering, and parents need support from their employers. So the outlook for working parents is worse than 2020. That is hard to believe, but it's understandable, because it's the longer something goes on, it's really hard to muster. And that's why we need extra support. And that's why putting your oxygen mask on and leaning into others is so important. Caregiving and gender inequity are not costing women their jobs. It's costing them their careers. This is true. I have faced this myself with teenagers, tween and a teen, and a mom, and I had a father-in-law that we were also primary caregivers for, who passed a few months ago. But this is a reality. So 865,000 women left the workforce in September 2020 alone. We just know the numbers are horrible there. Men are advancing while women are being shut out or held back. That's true. Half of men feel they've advanced in their careers more or as much as expected since the pandemic. Half of men have advanced. So that's really depleting, isn't it? So it's only 1 in 3 for women. Parents feel included are 41% less likely to leave. And for working moms in particular, it's critical. That makes sense. Flexibility is great, but for working parents, more money is better. Because so many people have been affected, money is important. We still have to put kids through college. We don't have, free college in this country. So we still have to pay for our families. We still don't have the social safety net. Thank goodness that the Biden administration did pass the bill that gave everybody a childcare credit increase. And that was huge. Getting it in advance on a monthly basis, huge. Huge for parents who are below the poverty line and don't file taxes because they get it regardless. Life-changing. life-changing for the kids in this country and the families in this country. And that's one of the best things I've seen happen in years from a policy standpoint for families. Minority and LGBTQ and working parents are the most at risk of dropping out of the workforce. So that's that. There's a lot. There's a lot there. And that's why it's really important for us to take these 4 steps. The steps of putting your oxygen mask on first, being flexible and giving yourself and your coworkers an abundance of grace during this period of time. Giving yourself the permission to skip the things that are not the most important to your family and lean into the things that really feed your family and feed your career. Number 3, to talk about the changes with your kids and coworkers and have a plan B. And number 4, to have clear boundaries and clear communication about your changing work and life situation with your employer, your school, and your children when they happen. So that's it for this week. I hope that it was helpful. It really is just more of a check-in with all of you and seeing how you are and how WorkMuse can support you. We want everybody to get out there and be job sharing, of course, and able to, hand over their work week half the week to an incredible, amazing partner who takes the baton and runs with it, so they have the mental space and the actual time to focus on themselves and their families. But in the meantime, for everybody, we need to put our best foot forward. And the only way to do that is if you have some concrete tools in your toolbox. And so taking care of yourself is the number one thing you can do. So for anybody who is interested in Jobshare Academy, it's Jobshare Academy. It's workmuse.com/waitlist. I'm not even going to put it up right now because I'm just in a space. So I'll just say it. workmuse.com/waitlist for Jobshare Academy, which is the first program to create, sell, and get the green light for your rewarding job share. And the other thing to do is go to workmuse.com/work from home with kids. Work from home. Workmuse.com/work from home. Do it in the next 24 hours, and the updated 2021 edition will be up. And for anybody who's seen this, send me a DM and I'll send you the direct PDF and get it into your hands ASAP. So have a great week. Take care of yourself. Take care of those in your family and all of your team members at work, and just be present with people. I think there's a lot of misperception about bringing your whole self to work. I don't think that it means that people have to say everything they're thinking at the time they're thinking and let everybody in on every problem they have. I think what it means is that we just have to acknowledge that we have these full lives, and we have to be open to coming with our full lives, being clear, transparent, open, and being very conscientious of other people and their full lives. So I'm wishing you the best during what I know is an uncomfortable, difficult couple of weeks for many, many people. And we will see you soon with Jobshare Job. I'm so excited that we are finally on LinkedIn Live, on YouTube Live, and on Facebook Live at the same time. And I hope that you guys will be meeting me here. We don't go weekly, 360 days a year, but we are doing Jobshare Java Lives weekly. And we will much of the year. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on your inboxes. If you're interested in our newsletter, it's workmuse.com/newsletter. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, take care. And that's it. Have a great week. You can do hard things. We can do hard things. See you soon. Bye.